The barista doesn't look up when I order in Russian. She's used to it here, 3 blocks from Brighton Beach, where half the customers still count change in rubles under their breath. The espresso machine screams. I taste copper on my tongue before the coffee even arrives. I shouldn't have come back to Brooklyn. The cafe smells like burned sugar and wet wool. March rain hammers the awning outside, and someone's boots squeak across the tile behind me. I don't turn. My phone buzzes against the laminate table. Another message from the landlord, another threat about back rent, but I let it rattle itself silent. The coffee comes. Black, no sugar. I wrap both hands around the cup and let the heat sting my palms. That's when I notice him. Corner table. Alone. Tattoos crawl up his neck from beneath a black collar, the ink faded green the way prison work always looks. He's staring at me. Not the way men usually stare. This is different. Colder. His jaw works once, twice, like he's testing a sore tooth. Then he pulls out his phone. I force myself to take a sip. The coffee burns all the way down. He's speaking low, fast, his free hand drumming the table in a pattern I recognize from my childhood. 3 beats. Pause. 2 beats. The old country rhythm. My grandmother used to tap it on my wrist when she was nervous. He ends the call. Stands. Walks toward me. I could run. The back exit is near the bathroom. 15 feet, maybe less. But my legs have gone numb. And besides, men like him always have friends waiting in alleys. He stops at my table. Up close, I see the scar bisecting his left eyebrow, the way his shoulders fill the doorframe of his coat. He smells like cigarettes and something sharper. Gunpowder, maybe. Or fear. You speak Russian, he says. Not a question. So do 1,000 people in this neighborhood. Not like you. His eyes narrow. Where's your family from? I shouldn't answer. I know this. My mother taught me to keep my mouth shut around men with tattoos that mean something. But my brother used to say I inherited our father's stubbornness along with his height, and maybe he was right. Nowhere that matters. His mouth twitches. Not quite a smile. Everything matters to Vochka. He pulls out a card, sets it on the table between us. No name, just a phone number in raised black ink. Someone wants to meet you. I'm not interested. You have 10 minutes to decide. I already decided. He leans down. His breath is warm against my ear. Anya Petrova. Age 26. Student visa expired 14 months ago. Brother disappeared in Moscow 2 years ago this June. Mother still in Pskov, working at the fish cannery, sending you money she doesn't have. My coffee cup cracks. Not broken, just a hairline fracture down the ceramic, but the sound fills my skull like a gunshot. I don't remember squeezing. How? 10 minutes, he repeats. Black Mercedes. Outside. He walks away. The door chimes when he leaves. The rain sounds louder now. Or maybe it's just my pulse in my ears. I look at the card. The number starts with a Brighton Beach exchange. I know what that means. Everyone in the Russian community knows. You don't call numbers like that unless you're already buried too deep to care about digging deeper. My phone buzzes again. I flip it over. Not the landlord this time. A text from an unknown number. We know where your mother works. She leaves at 6. Walks home alone. The fracture in my cup spreads. I'm outside before I let myself think about it. The rain soaks through my jacket in seconds, cold enough to hurt. The Mercedes idles at the curb, windows tinted black, exhaust curling white in the wet air. The back door opens. I count my heartbeats. 5, 10, 15. Then I get in. The interior smells like leather and cologne. The tattooed man sits up front. Someone else is driving, broad-shouldered, silent. The door shuts behind me with a sound like a vault closing. Smart girl, the tattooed man says. I don't answer. I'm too busy memorizing the route. Left on Ocean Avenue, right after the pawn shop with the broken sign. Straight through the intersection where the bodega owner was shot last year. My brother taught me that. Always know the way out, Anya. Even when there isn't one. The silence stretches. The driver's eyes find mine in the rearview mirror, flat and unreadable. I press my spine against the seat and make myself breathe. We drive for 12 minutes. I count. Then we turn into an industrial park near the water, the kind of place where the streetlights are always broken and the warehouses have numbers instead of names. The Mercedes stops in front of a gray building with steel doors. "Out!" the tattooed man says. I follow him through the rain. The door opens before he knocks. Inside, the air is warmer but staler, like old cigarettes and older secrets. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Our footsteps echo on concrete. He leads me down a hallway, past rooms with closed doors and voices murmuring in Russian behind them. I catch fragments. Stage fragers, stage Thursday, Tolom talk tons. Then we stop. The tattooed man knocks twice. A voice answers from inside, low and steady. We enter. The office is cleaner than I expected. A desk. 2 chairs. A window overlooking the waterfront, rain streaking the glass. And behind the desk, a man who makes the tattooed one look soft. He's maybe 40. Dark suit, no tie. Hair silver at the temples. His hands rest flat on the desk, and I see the scars across his knuckles, the kind you get from hitting bone. He doesn't stand when I walk in. "Anya Petrova," he says. My name sounds different in his mouth. Careful, measured. "Sit." I sit. The chair is metal, cold through my wet jeans. He studies me for a long moment. His eyes are gray, the color of winter ice. "You speak Russian. Your accent is northern. Pskov, maybe, or close." I don't confirm it. "I'm going to play you a recording," he continues. "You're going to tell me what it says. Every word, every detail. If you lie, I'll know. And if I refuse, you won't." He opens a drawer, pulls out a small digital recorder, sets it on the desk between us. His finger hovers over the play button. Before we begin, he says, "My name is Dmitri Volkov. You've probably heard of me." I have. Everyone has. Asterisk, vorvi zakone. Thief-in-law. The kind of man who gives orders that end lives. "What do you want from me?" "The truth," Dmitri says. He presses play. Static crackles. Then a voice, wet and rasping, speaking Russian in a dialect I haven't heard since my grandmother died. The words are thick with pain and something else. Guilt, maybe. Or fear. I close my eyes, listen. And I realize, with the cold certainty of rain soaking through skin, that whatever this dying man is confessing, it's going to cost me everything I have left. Dmitri watches my face, waiting. I open my eyes and begin to translate. The voice on the recording stutters, coughs, then continues in the dialect my grandmother spoke when she was angry or praying. Sometimes both at once. I lean forward, straining to catch every syllable through the static. He says his name is Kostya Nikitin. I begin. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. From Pechori, near the Estonian border. Dmitri's expression doesn't change, but his fingers curl slightly against the desk. The dying man wheezes, says something about summer, about trust, about a promise made in a garden 20 years ago. I translate it word for word. Dmitri's jaw tightens. Then the confession turns. Kostya speaks faster now, urgent despite the fluid rattling in his lungs. He names a meeting. A warehouse in Tallinn. August 15th. 3 years ago. He says he told the Belarusians where the shipment would cross. He gave them the route, the time, the name of the driver. In exchange for what, he doesn't say. But the next words make my stomach drop. The driver's name was Pavel Morozov. I stop. Glance up at Dmitri. His face is stone. Keep going, he says quietly. I swallow. Continue. Kostya's voice breaks as he admits Pavel died that night. Ambushed on the road. The shipment, guns, the recording says, or maybe medicine, the dialect blurs the two, was taken. And Pavel's family blamed Dmitri's organization. They called it carelessness. Disrespect. They demanded blood payment. The Morozovs and the Volkovs. Two families circling each other for 3 years, waiting for an excuse. And Kostya just handed them one. He says he's dying anyway. I translate, my mouth dry. Cancer. 2 weeks, maybe 3. He wants God to know he's sorry. He wants Pavel's widow to know her husband didn't suffer, that it was quick. Kostya coughs again. The sound is wet, final, then silence. The recording clicks off. I sit back. My hands are shaking, so I press them flat against my thighs. Dmitri doesn't move, doesn't blink. The rain drums against the window behind him, and the fluorescent lights hum, and somewhere down the hall a door slams. Where did you learn that dialect, he asks. My grandmother. She left Pechori in the 70s, married a Soviet officer, moved to Moscow, then Brooklyn after he died. I meet his eyes. She hated talking about the old country, but when she was sick, near the end, it's all she spoke. Do you know the name Morozov? No. Nikitin? No. You're sure? It's not a question, but I answer anyway. Yes. Dmitri picks up the recorder, turns it over in his scarred hands, like he's weighing something more than plastic and circuitry. Finally, he sets it down again. Pavel Morozov was a driver. Good man, honest. He had a wife, 2 daughters. Dmitri's voice is flat, but there's something underneath it. Grief, maybe. Or rage so old it's worn smooth. When he died, his family wanted someone to pay. I gave them money, apologies, access to our contacts in Estonia to hunt the Belarusians who killed him. It wasn't enough. They wanted blood. And you didn't give it to them. I didn't have anyone to give. He looks at me. Until now. My chest tightens. You're going to tell them about Kostya. I'm going to tell them the truth. He leans back in his chair. It creaks under his weight. And they're going to want confirmation. They'll want to hear the recording themselves, understand every word. They'll need someone who speaks the dialect. So find someone else. There is no one else. His eyes don't leave mine. That dialect is dying. The old people who spoke it are dead or scattered. You're the first person in 2 years who could translate it without guessing. I stand. The chair scrapes against concrete. I did what you asked. I translated your recording. We're done. Sit down, Anya. No. Dmitri rises slowly. He's taller than I expected, broad through the shoulders, and when he moves around the desk, there's a smoothness to it that makes my pulse kick. Not violence. Control. He stops 3 feet away, close enough that I can see the faint scar through his left eyebrow, the gray threaded through his hair at the temples. If the Morozovs don't hear this, he says quietly, they'll assume I'm lying. They'll assume I'm trying to cover for someone in my organization. And they'll start a war one can't win without burning half of Brooklyn to the ground. That's not my problem. It will be. He pauses. Do you have family here? Friends? My throat tightens. I think of my apartment in Crown Heights, my neighbor with the cat, the barista who knows my order. Small things. Fragile things. You're threatening me. I'm telling you the truth. Dmitri's voice doesn't rise. Doesn't need to. If this goes to war, there will be collateral damage. There always is. People who have nothing to do with any of this will get hurt because they were in the wrong place when someone decided to send a message. And if I help you, you'll protect them. I'll try. The honesty of it surprises me. I expected promises, guarantees, not this quiet acknowledgement that he's as trapped as I am. I sit back down. Dmitri returns to his chair, opens another drawer, pulls out a folder, slides it across the desk. I open it. Inside are photos, documents. Most of it's in Russian, dense bureaucratic text that would take hours to parse. But one name jumps out at me, written in blue ink on a visa application. Alexei Petrov. My brother. The room tilts. I grip the edge of the desk. Where did you get this? Moscow. 2 years ago. Dmitri's voice is careful. Your brother was working for a man named Grigory Orlov. Low-level courier work, mostly. Then he tried to skim from a delivery. Got caught. Disappeared before Orlov could make an example of him. He didn't disappear. He ran. Maybe. Dmitri taps the folder. Orlov has people everywhere. Berlin, Prague, London. If your brother's alive, he's hiding. If he's dead, no one's found the body. My hands are shaking again. I close the folder. Push it back across the desk. Why are you telling me this? Because I can find him. Dmitri leans forward. I can pull resources, make calls, put pressure on people who owe me favors. But I need time. And I need you to buy me that time by helping me end this before the Morozovs decide to start something I can't stop. I stare at him, at the scars on his knuckles, the gray eyes that haven't looked away once. How do I know you're not lying? You don't. He stands, walks to the window, looks out at the rain, the waterfront, the city beyond. But your brother's name is in my files, which means someone I trust thought he was worth tracking. And that means he's still alive, or was 6 months ago, when this report was updated. What do you want from me? Stay in a safe house. Translate the rest of the recordings I have. Meet with the Morozovs when I set up the sit-down and confirm what Kostya said. He turns back to me. 1 week. Maybe 2. Then you're free. And my brother? I'll tell you everything I know. Give you his last known location. Even put you on a plane if that's what it takes. He crosses his arms. But only if you help me first. I think of Alexei. The last time I saw him, he was 23 and desperate, borrowing money he couldn't pay back and making promises he couldn't keep. I told him to stop, to come home. He didn't listen. I look at Dmitri, at the man who holds my brother's life in a folder, who's offering me a trade I can't afford to refuse. 1 week, I say. He nods, picks up his phone, speaks quietly in Russian to someone on the other end. When he hangs up, he looks at me. The car's waiting. The brownstone smells like old wood and lemon oil. 3 stories. Red brick, iron railings painted black. The kind of place that costs more than I'll make in 5 years. Dmitri opens the front door himself. No guards, no cameras I can see, just him, stepping aside to let me in. I hesitate on the threshold. He doesn't push, doesn't speak, just waits. I step inside. The hallway is narrow, polished hardwood floors, a coat rack, a small table with a ceramic bowl holding keys. Normal, almost aggressively normal. I expected something darker, more fortress, less home. Upstairs, Dmitri says. 2nd door on the left. That's yours. I climb the stairs. He follows, but keeps his distance. The 2nd floor is quiet. 2 closed doors, 1 half-open bathroom, pale blue tile, visible inside. I push open the door he indicated. The room is small, clean. A double bed with white linens, a nightstand, a lamp, a window overlooking the street, curtains already drawn. There's a lock on the inside of the door. I test it. It works. You're not a prisoner, Dmitri says from the doorway. But don't leave without telling me first. I turn. He's leaning against the frame, hands in his pockets, watching me with that same careful stillness. Why here? I ask. Why not some warehouse, some basement? Because I need you to think clearly. And you won't do that if you're scared. He says it like it's obvious, like fear is a variable he can control by adjusting the setting. I'm already scared. I know, he straightens. There's food in the kitchen, coffee, tea. Help yourself. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. He turns to leave. Dmitri. He stops. Looks back. How many people have you brought here? To this house, he pauses. You're the first. He leaves before I can ask what that means. I don't unpack. There's nothing to unpack. Just my coat, my phone, the keys in my pocket. I sit on the edge of the bed and try to breathe. Try to think. The traffic outside is steady, rhythmic. Headlights slide across the curtains every few seconds. Alexei is alive. Maybe. 6 months ago, he was alive. Dmitri's files said so. Which means someone was watching him, tracking him, keeping tabs. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Times kitchen table. Start with the blue folder. I stare at it. Delete it. Stand. Downstairs, the house is warmer. I follow the sound of running water to the back. The kitchen is small, old-fashioned. White subway tile, a gas stove. A wooden table under a window that looks out onto a narrow garden. The blue folder sits in the center of the table, next to a laptop and a pair of headphones. Dmitri is at the sink, rinsing something. He doesn't turn when I enter, but his shoulders shift slightly, acknowledging me. Sit, he says. I'll make tea. I sit. Open the folder. Inside are 3 more recordings on USB drives, each labeled with a date and a location. Below them, printed transcripts in Russian, half finished, full of gaps and question marks. These are from the same source? I ask. Different sources. Same family. He sets a mug of tea in front of me. Black, no sugar. He remembered from the warehouse. Kostya was the last. These are earlier. Background, context. I pick up the first drive, plug it into the laptop, put on the headphones. The voice that comes through is older than Kostya's. Rougher, a smoker's rasp. He's speaking the same dialect, but faster, angrier. I close my eyes and let the words settle. He's talking about money, a shipment that didn't arrive, a cousin who swore it was on the truck, but the Morozovs found the truck empty in a lot near Greenpoint. He's accusing someone named Sergey, calling him a liar, a thief, saying if Sergey doesn't fix this, there'll be blood. I pause the recording, look up. Dmitri is at the stove now, chopping onions with quick, precise movements. The smell fills the kitchen. Who's Sergey? I ask. Kostya's older brother. Dmitri doesn't look up. Dead now, shot 6 months ago outside a bar in Brighton Beach. By who? Officially? No one knows. Unofficially. He scrapes the onions into a pan. They hiss. Probably Morozov's people. But there's no proof. I look back at the laptop. At the timestamp on the recording. 8 months ago. This was before Sergei died. Yes. So Kostya knew his brother was in trouble. Kostya knew a lot of things. Dmitri adds butter to the pan. Salt. The onions start to soften, turning golden. He just didn't know how to stop any of it. I press play again. Listen to the rest. The old man's voice gets quieter near the end. More tired. He says Sergei promised to make it right, to pay back what was owed. But he doesn't sound like he believes it. When the recording ends, I pull off the headphones. What happened to the shipment? Never recovered. Dmitri is rolling dough now, thin and even. His hands move with the same precision he used on the onions, which means someone kept it, sold it, spent it. Doesn't matter. The Morozovs think it was Sergei. Sergei thought it was someone on the Morozov side. And Kostya knew the truth. Which was? He looks at me then, wipes his hands on a towel, walks over to the table and sits across from me. Listen to the next one. I do. This voice is younger, mid-30s maybe, nervous, stammering. He's confessing to his priest. No, not a priest. Someone he trusts. Someone he calls brother. He's saying he took the shipment. That Sergei didn't know. That he sold it to cover his own debts. Debts to men in Moscow. Men whose names make him trip over his words. One of those names is Grigory Orlov. My breath catches. Dmitri hears it, leans forward slightly. You recognize the name. You said my brother worked for Orlov. He did. This man, on the recording, he's talking about paying Orlov's people. 2 years ago. Yes. Around the same time Alexei disappeared. Dmitri doesn't answer. Doesn't need to. I pull off the headphones. My hands are cold. I wrap them around the mug of tea, but it's already lukewarm. Was Alexei part of this? I ask. The shipment. The theft. Was he... No. Dmitri's voice is flat, certain. Your brother was a courier. Small time. He ran errands, delivered packages, kept his head down. The man on that recording is named Victor. He worked for my family. He stole from the Morozovs, sold to Orlov, and then tried to pin it on Sergei to cover his tracks. Where's Victor now? Dead. Car accident in Queens, 3 weeks after Sergei was shot. I stare at him. You think it was an accident? I think Victor knew too much, and someone decided he was a liability. Dmitri stands, goes back to the stove, starts filling the dough with small spoonfuls of meat and onion, folding each one into a perfect crescent. Pelmeni. My grandmother used to make them every Sunday. Why didn't you tell the Morozovs, I ask, if you knew it was Victor? Because I didn't have proof. Just a recording of a dead man confessing to a dead priest. The Morozovs don't trust me. They'd think I was lying to protect my own. He seals the last dumpling, sets it aside. But they might trust you. Why? Because you have no reason to lie. You're not part of this world. You don't owe anyone anything. He turns to face me. You're just a woman looking for her brother. The truth of it sits heavy in my chest. I look down at the folder, at the recordings, at the transcripts full of gaps I'm supposed to fill. What do you want me to say to them? I ask quietly. The truth. Dmitri crosses his arms. That Victor stole the shipment. That Sergei didn't know. That Kostya tried to tell someone, but no one listened. And my brother. I'll find him. His voice is softer now, almost gentle. But first, we stop this, before anyone else dies. I set the folder down. My hands are steadier now. The tea is cold, but I don't reach for it. You're asking me to walk into a meeting with people who kill for a living, I say, and tell them a story that makes your family look innocent. I'm asking you to translate what you heard. They won't believe me. They will. Dmitri moves to the table, pulls out the chair across from me and sits. His sleeves are still rolled up. There's a faint scar along his left forearm, old and white. Because I'll pay you enough that they'll know you're not doing it for loyalty. How much? 50,000. Half now, half when it's done. The number lands like a slap. I blink. Try to keep my face neutral. $50,000 would cover 6 months of rent. Maybe more. It would let me hire someone in Prague, someone who knows how to navigate the bureaucracy and the bribes. It would let me stop waiting tables and searching at night. But I still shake my head. I can't. Dmitri doesn't move, doesn't blink. Just watches me with those pale eyes, like he's reading something written on my skin. Why not, he asks. Because if I do this, I'm part of it. I'm not just translating. I'm picking a side. And if you're wrong, if this doesn't work, they'll come after me. They won't. You don't know that. I do. He leans forward slightly, folds his hands on the table. Because if anyone touches you, I'll burn their world down. The words are quiet. Steady. Not a threat. A promise. I look at him. At the scar on his knuckles. The faint shadow of exhaustion under his eyes. The way he holds himself like a man who's been carrying weight for so long, he's forgotten what it feels like to set it down. Why do you care? I ask. He doesn't answer right away, just looks past me, toward the window where the street light cuts through the blinds in thin gold lines. I had a sister, he says finally. Younger. Oksana. She was good at languages, like you. Spoke 4. Could have gone to university, done something real. But she stayed. Helped me with business. Translated contracts, emails, recordings. He pauses. His jaw tightens. 2 years ago, I gave her a file to work on. Russian and Ukrainian. She didn't know the man on the recording was lying. Didn't know he was setting us up. She translated what he said word for word, and I believed it. Made a deal based on it. His hands tighten into fists. 3 days later, she was dead. They made it look like a robbery, took her purse, her phone, left her in an alley off Coney Island Avenue. The kitchen is silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I can hear my own heartbeat. I'm sorry, I say. Don't be sorry. His voice is flat now. Hard. Be smart. If you walk away, you'll keep looking for Alexei on your own. You'll check the forums, the embassy lists, the shelters. You'll send messages to strangers and hope one of them knows something. And maybe, in 5 years, you'll find out he's dead. Or maybe you never will. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a plain white envelope, sets it on the table between us. Or you help me, he says, and I'll tell you where he is. My throat goes dry. I stare at the envelope. It's sealed. No markings, just white paper and whatever's inside. You know where Alexei is? I say slowly. I know where he was 3 months ago. Where? Prague. Working under a different name. He owes money to the Orlov network, so he's keeping his head down. Trying to disappear. You're lying. Open it. I don't move. Don't breathe. Dmitri waits. Finally, I reach for the envelope. My hands shake as I tear it open. Inside is a photograph. Color. Recent. A man sitting at a cafe table, cigarette in hand, staring at his phone. He's thinner than I remember. His hair is longer. But I know the slope of his shoulders. The way he hunches when he's tired. It's Alexei. I flip the photo over. There's an address written in pen. Asterix Vinohrady, Prague 2. Kavarna u Jakuba. Wednesdays, 1400. How did you get this? My voice cracks. I have people everywhere, Dmitri says. I have known where he was for 2 months. I was waiting for the right time to tell you. The right time? I look up at him. You mean leverage? Yes. At least he doesn't lie about it. I set the photo down. My hands are shaking harder now. I press them flat against the table. If I do this, I say, if I go to the Morozovs and tell them what I heard, what happens after? You walk away. 50,000 in your account, a plane ticket to Prague, and a contact number for a man who can get you close to your brother without Orlov's people noticing. And if it goes wrong? It won't. But if it does, Dmitri's gaze doesn't waver. Then I'll get you out, he says, even if it costs me everything. I believe him. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way he says it, like a fact instead of a promise. Maybe it's the scar on his arm, or the pelmeni cooling on the counter, or the way he looked at me when I told him about the priest. Or maybe I'm just desperate enough to believe anyone who offers hope. I pick up the photograph, trace the edge with my thumb. Alexei's face is thinner, but his eyes are the same. Dark. Tired. Alive. When do I meet them, I ask. Tomorrow night? Neutral ground. A restaurant in Brighton Beach. I'll be there, but I won't sit at the table. You'll talk to Mikhail Morozov and his son Ilya. They'll ask questions. You answer. You don't improvise. You don't add details. You just tell them what you heard. And if they don't believe me, they will. He stands, moves back to the stove, lights the burner under a pot of water. Because you're not trying to convince them I'm innocent. You're just trying to show them who's guilty. I watch him drop the pelmeni into the boiling water, one by one. They sink, then rise to the surface, pale crescents turning in the steam. Why didn't you just hire someone else, I ask. Another translator. Someone who wouldn't ask questions. I tried. His back is still to me. 3 of them listened to the recording and told me they couldn't make it out. One of them said the dialect was too regional. Another said the audio was corrupted. And the third? Disappeared 2 days later. He glances over his shoulder. That's when I knew someone was watching. Someone who didn't want that confession translated. A chill runs down my spine. Dmitri lifts the pelmeni out with a slotted spoon, sets them in 2 bowls, adds a spoonful of sour cream to each, brings one to me. Eat, he says. You'll need your strength. I look down at the bowl. The dumplings glisten in the overhead light, steam rising in soft curls. They smell like my grandmother's kitchen, like Sunday afternoons and safety and a world I thought I'd lost. I pick up the spoon. Dmitri sits across from me. We eat in silence. The pelmeni are perfect. The dough is tender, the filling rich and savory. I didn't realize how hungry I was until the first bite. When I'm halfway through, I look up at him. If this works, I say, and I find Alexei, what then? Then you bring him home. Dmitri's voice is quiet. And you stay away from people like me. And if I don't want to? He pauses, spoon halfway to his mouth. His eyes meet mine, and for the first time tonight, I see something crack in his expression. Something raw. Then I'll spend the rest of my life trying to keep you safe, he says, and I'll probably fail. I don't look away. Maybe, I say, but at least I'll know you tried. The silence after dinner settles around us like the first snow of winter, soft, inevitable, waiting to be disturbed. Dmitri collects the bowls without a word. I watch his hands move through the motions, scraping, rinsing, setting them in the rack. No dishwasher, no shortcuts. The water runs hot enough to steam the window above the sink. I should offer to help. I don't. Something about the rhythm of his movements tells me this is ritual, not chore. A way to mark the end of one thing and the beginning of another. When he turns back, he's holding a thick manila folder. These need translating before tomorrow night, he says. Birth certificates, property deeds, a few letters, nothing like the recording. He sets the folder in front of me. I open it. The pages are yellowed at the edges, some typed on old Soviet-era machines, others handwritten in ink that's faded to rust. The Cyrillic is formal, bureaucratic. I can already feel the headache forming behind my eyes. There's a lamp in the living room, Dmitri says. Better light. I'll be upstairs if you need anything. You're not staying down here? I have work of my own. He gestures toward the ceiling. Second door on the left is the bathroom. There's a guest room at the end of the hall if you want to sleep. I won't. He almost smiles. I know. Then he's gone, footsteps heavy on the stairs, and I'm alone with a folder full of ghosts. I carry it to the living room. The lamp he mentioned is an old brass thing with a green glass shade, the kind you'd see in a library. I pull the chain, warm light pools across the coffee table. I sit on the couch, leather, cracked at the seams, soft from years of use, and open the folder again. The first document is a birth certificate from 1987. Vladivostok. A boy named Kirill Antonovich Lebedev. I write the translation in my notebook, careful to match the formatting. The ink is black, the letters sharp. It feels important to get it right, even though I don't know why this particular certificate matters. The second is a property deed. A dacha outside Novosibirsk, transferred from a father to his son in 1993. The language is dense, full of legal terms I have to look up on my phone. I make notes in the margins. Cross-reference names. The work is slow, but it's familiar. I lose myself in it. Somewhere overhead, a floorboard creaks. I glance up. Listen. Another creak, then the faint sound of a drawer closing. Dmitri moving through his own night. I wonder what kind of work keeps a man like him awake at this hour. Numbers, maybe. Ledgers. Or something darker. Names on a list. Debts that need settling. I go back to the documents. An hour passes. Maybe 2. My neck is stiff, my eyes dry. I'm halfway through a letter dated 1995. Something about a shipment delayed at the Polish border, when I hear footsteps on the stairs. Dmitri appears in the doorway. He's changed into a black t-shirt, sleeves tight over his shoulders. There's a bandage on his forearm I didn't notice before. Fresh. White gauze stark against his skin. You should take a break, he says. I'm fine. You've been staring at that page for 10 minutes. I blink. Look down. He's right. The words have blurred into shapes, meaning leached away. I close the folder, rub my temples. Coffee? He asks. It's almost midnight. That's not an answer. I smile despite myself. Yes, coffee. He disappears into the kitchen. I hear the grind of beans, the hiss of the espresso machine. When he returns, he's carrying 2 small cups. No sauces, no sugar. Just black coffee thick enough to coat the tongue. He hands me one and sits in the armchair across from me. Not close, not far. Just present. We drink in silence. The coffee is bitter, strong, exactly what I need. I feel it sharpen the edges of my thoughts, pull me back from the edge of exhaustion. How much more is there? Dmitri asks, nodding toward the folder. Maybe 3 hours worth, if I don't get sloppy. And if you do, then 5. He nods, drinks, sets his cup on the side table. "You don't have to finish tonight," he says. "I know. But you will." "Yes." He leans back. The leather creaks under his weight. His eyes are steady on mine, dark and unreadable in the lamplight. "Why?" he asks. "Because I don't trust myself to sleep here." The honesty surprises us both. I see it in the way his jaw tightens, the brief flicker of something like regret crossing his face. "You think I'll hurt you?" "No." I meet his gaze. "I think I'll forget why I should be afraid." Silence. Long and heavy. The radiator ticks in the corner. Outside, a siren wails past, distant and fading. Dmitri stands, moves to the window, looks out at the street below. His reflection is a ghost in the glass, pale and fractured. "My sister's name was Katya," he says. Quiet. Almost too quiet to hear. She was 19. Studying linguistics at Moscow State. She wanted to work for the UN, translate peace treaties, summit meetings. She thought words could stop wars. "I don't move, don't breathe." "I hired a translator once," he continues. "A man my father had used before. Trusted. I gave him documents that mattered. Names, routes, things that could get people killed if they ended up in the wrong hands." He turns, looks at me. "They did. And 3 days later, Katya was dead. Wrong place, wrong time. A message meant for me." My throat tightens. "Dmitri, I killed the translator," he says. Simple, factual, with my own hands. In a basement not far from here. And I swore I'd never trust another one. He crosses the room, sits on the edge of the coffee table, close enough now that I can see the scar at his temple, the one that disappears into his hairline. "But then I heard you," he says, "in that café, speaking Russian like you were born to it, like it was yours, not something you borrowed, and I thought, maybe this time." I set my cup down. My hands are shaking. "You're testing me," I say. "Yes, to see if I'll run. To see if you'll stay." His voice drops. "Even when you know who I am, what I've done, I should stand. Walk out. Call a cab and disappear into the city and never look back." Instead, I reach for the folder. Open it. Pull out the next document. "This one's a marriage certificate," I say. "Smolensk, 1989. The groom's name is partly illegible. I'll need better light." Dmitri doesn't move, just watches me. Something raw and unguarded flickering in his eyes. Then he stands, goes to the hall closet, returns with a desk lamp, the articulated kind with a heavy base. He plugs it in beside the couch, adjusts the angle so the light falls clean and bright across the page. "Better?" he asks. "Better." He nods, picks up his coffee cup, starts toward the stairs. "Dmitri." He stops, turns. "I'm sorry," I say, "about Katya." His expression doesn't change, but his hand tightens around the cup, knuckles gone white. "So am I," he says. Then he's gone, and I'm alone again with the documents and the lamplight and the knowledge that I'm not running. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. I pick up my pen, start translating, and somewhere upstairs a floorboard creaks. Once, twice, then goes still. I work through the night. The marriage certificate. A shipping manifest dated 1995. A letter written in cramped, angry script that makes my eyes ache. The lamp hums beside me, steady and warm. Upstairs, the creaking stops. The house settles into silence. Around 3 in the morning, I hear footsteps on the stairs. Slow. Deliberate. I don't look up. Just keep my pen moving across the notepad, translating a list of names that may or may not still belong to living people. Dmitri appears in the doorway. He's changed into dark jeans and a black sweater, sleeves pushed to his elbows. No shoes. His feet are bare against the hardwood, and there's something about that, the vulnerability of it, that makes my chest tighten. "You should sleep," he says. "So should you." "I don't sleep much." "Neither do I." He crosses to the kitchen, opens the fridge. I hear the clink of glass, the rustle of plastic. When he returns, he's carrying a bottle of vodka and 2 shot glasses. He sets them on the coffee table beside my pile of translated pages. "Katya used to do this," he says. "Stay up all night reading, translating." She'd sit at the kitchen table in our father's house with a stack of books and a pot of tea, and she wouldn't move until the sun came up. He unscrews the cap, pours 2 fingers into each glass. She said the night was quieter, easier to hear the words. I set my pen down. What did she translate? Poetry, mostly. Akhmatova, Tsvetaeva. She wanted to make English versions that didn't lose the rhythm. He picks up 1 glass, holds it. She never finished. There wasn't time. I take the other glass. The vodka is cold, clean-smelling. I don't drink yet. Just hold it between my palms and watch him. "You said she worked for the UN," I say. "She did, for 2 years. Then she came home because our father was dying, and she stayed because I asked her to." His thumb traces the rim of his glass. I told her I needed help. Someone I could trust to read contracts, vet translators, make sure I wasn't walking into traps. She said yes because she thought she could. I don't know. Civilize me, maybe. Make the business cleaner. Could she? No. He drinks. 1 smooth swallow, sets the glass down. But she tried, and I loved her for it. I drink too. The vodka burns, bright and sharp, all the way down. I set the glass beside his. "My brother's name is Alexei," I say. The words come out harder than I expect. He's 3 years older than me. Smart, too smart. He got a job in Moscow after university, working for a consulting firm. International clients, good money. I pause, refill both glasses. Then the money stopped, the emails stopped, and when I finally got someone at his firm to talk to me, they said he'd been let go 6 months earlier. No forwarding address, no explanation. Dmitri's gaze sharpens. "When?" 2 years ago, March." "What kind of consulting?" He never said exactly, just that it involved logistics. "Supply chains." I pick up the second shot, hold it. "I flew to Moscow, went to his apartment. The landlord said he'd left in the middle of the night with 2 suitcases and no notice. I filed a missing person report. The police took my information and told me they'd look into it. They didn't. No. Because someone told them not to." I nod. Drink. The vodka doesn't burn this time. Just settles, heavy and warm, in my chest. "He owed money," Dmitri says. Not a question. I think so. I found a letter in his apartment, shoved under the bed. It was in Russian, but written in a way that made me think the person who wrote it wasn't educated. Lots of mistakes. Aggressive phrasing. I close my eyes. It said Alexei had 3 weeks to pay what he owed or they'd make an example of him. How much? 50,000 euros. Dmitri goes still. That's a lot of money for a logistics consultant. I know. Which means he wasn't just consulting. I know. He refills both glasses without asking. Slides mine across the table toward me. Our fingers brush. His skin is warm, rough at the knuckles. What do you think he was doing? Dmitri asks. I don't know. But I think it involved your world, the kind of supply chains that don't show up on customs forms. I meet his eyes. That's why I didn't run when your man approached me at the café. That's why I got in the car. Because when you said you needed a translator, I thought maybe if I helped you, you could help me find him. And now? Now I think he might be dead, I say. The words crack. And I think you already know that. Dmitri doesn't look away, doesn't soften his expression or offer empty comfort. I don't know if he's dead, he says, but I know the men who would have collected that debt. And if Alexei couldn't pay, they wouldn't have killed him outright. They'd have put him to work. My breath catches. Doing what? Whatever they needed. Translation, negotiation, documentation. He picks up his glass. Men like that don't waste assets. If your brother had skills, they'd use them until he became a liability. And then they'd disappear him. I drain my glass. Set it down too hard. The sound cracks through the quiet. Can you find him? I ask. I can try. Why would you? Because you didn't lie to me, Dmitri says. When I asked if you recognized the names on the recording, you told me the truth. You didn't try to leverage it, didn't try to bargain. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, close enough now that I can see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes. And because I know what it's like to lose someone and spend every night wondering if you could have stopped it. The lamplight flickers, steadies. I can't pay you, I say. I'm not asking you to. Then what do you want? Keep translating, he says. Stay here. Let me keep you safe while I make calls and pull threads and see what shakes loose. He pauses. And when this is over, when you know what happened to Alexei, you walk away clean. No debt, no strings. I search his face for the lie, the angle, the hidden cost. All I see is exhaustion, and something that might be hope, buried deep beneath the scar tissue. Okay, I say. He nods, stands, collects the bottle and both glasses. Get some sleep, he says. You'll need it. Dmitri. He stops at the kitchen threshold, looks back. Thank you, I say. His jaw tightens. He doesn't answer, just carries the vodka into the dark and sets it down with a soft clink. I hear water running, the quiet scrape of glass on metal as he washes the glasses by hand. I gather the translated pages, stack them neatly beside the lamp. My eyes ache. My shoulders burn. But for the first time in 2 years, the weight in my chest feels lighter. I pull the blanket over my legs, turn off the lamp, let the darkness settle around me like a second skin. In the kitchen, the water stops. Dmitri's footsteps cross the floor, then start up the stairs. Slow, measured. The sound of a man who's learned to move quietly through a world that punishes noise. I close my eyes, and for the first time since Moscow, I sleep without dreaming. The glass breaks downstairs at 3 a.m. I jolt awake. Blanket tangled around my ankles, heart slamming against my ribs. Another sound. Sharper. The scrape of wood on wood. Someone forcing the back door. Dmitri's footsteps hit the hallway above me. Fast. No hesitation. He's on the stairs before I'm off the couch. Stay down, he says. His voice is low. Absolute. He's holding a gun I didn't know he kept in the house. I drop to my knees behind the sofa, press my spine against the cushions. My hands shake so badly I have to lock them together. The kitchen door swings open. 2 men step through. Balaclavas. dark coats. One carries a shotgun, the other a pistol with a suppressor screwed to the barrel. Dmitri fires first. The sound explodes through the room. My ears ring. The man with the shotgun stumbles back, clutching his thigh, and the second man pivots, raises his weapon. Dmitri moves faster. He's across the room before the shooter can track him, slamming into the man's side, driving him into the doorframe. The suppressed pistol coughs twice. Plaster bursts from the wall 6 inches from my head. I bite down on my wrist to keep from screaming. The man with the leg wound is crawling toward his shotgun. Blood smears the hardwood in thick streaks. I don't think. I just move. I lunge forward, grab the shotgun by the barrel. It's heavier than I expected, hot from recent use, and I yank it sideways, out of his reach, my shoulders screaming as I drag it across the floor. The man swears in Russian. Reaches for me. Dmitri's hand closes around the back of his neck. Slams his face into the floor. Once. The man goes limp. But the second shooter is on his feet again. He raises the pistol. Aims at Dmitri's back. "Down!" I shout. Dmitri drops. The bullet punches through the air where his head was and shatters the window behind me. Cold wind floods the room. The shooter adjusts his aim. Dmitri fires from the floor. 2 shots. Center mass. The man folds. His pistol clatters across the tile into the kitchen. Silence. My breath comes in shallow gasps. I can't get enough air. Can't make my lungs expand past the iron band crushing my ribs. Dmitri pushes to his feet. Slow. His left arm hangs wrong. Blood soaks through his shirt just below the shoulder. Dark, spreading fast. "You're shot," I say. My voice sounds far away. I know. He crosses to the kitchen, kicks the suppressed pistol under the counter, checks the back door with his good hand still holding his weapon. More coming. These 2 were advance. How do you? They didn't bring bolt cutters. Didn't disable the exterior camera. They wanted us to know they were here. He moves to the front window, peers through the gap in the curtains. His jaw tightens. "Black sedan," he says. 2 men outside. Maybe more in the vehicle. I stand. My legs threaten to buckle. I lock my knees and force myself forward. "What do we do?" Dmitri pulls his phone from his pocket. Dials one-handed. Presses it to his ear. "Safe House 3 is compromised," he says. 4 hostiles minimum. I need extraction and a cleanup crew." A pause. 10 minutes? Make it 8. He ends the call. Slides the phone back into his pocket. "Basement," he says. "Now." I don't argue. I grab the stack of translated pages from the coffee table, still neatly piled where I left them, and follow him through the kitchen. The basement door is already open. Dmitri gestures me down with the barrel of his gun. I take the stairs 2 at a time, translated pages clutched against my chest. The basement is unfinished. Concrete floor. Exposed beams. A single bulb dangling from a wire overhead. Dmitri follows me down, pulls the door shut behind him, locks it. Then he sways. I drop the pages. Catch his good arm before he can fall. "Sit," I say. "Now." He doesn't fight me, just lowers himself onto an old wooden crate near the stairs, breathing hard through his teeth. I kneel in front of him. My hands hover over the wound, shaking. Blood runs down his arm, in slow rivulets, dripping onto the concrete. "Pressure," he says. "Just pressure." I yank off my cardigan, fold it into a thick pad, press it against the wound as hard as I can. He hisses. His good hand clamps around my wrist. Not to stop me, just to hold on. and his eyes squeeze shut. "I'm sorry," I whisper. "Don't be." His voice is rough. "You jammed the door lock upstairs. Bought us time." I blink. "What?" "Your keys?" he says. "You shoved them into the lock mechanism when you grabbed the shotgun. Saw you do it. Jammed it just enough to slow them down when they try the handle. I don't remember doing that. Don't remember thinking. Just moving." "Good instinct," Dmitri says. He opens his eyes, looks at me. "You didn't freeze." "I was terrified." "Terrified people freeze," he says. "You moved." Footsteps thud across the floor above us. Heavy, deliberate, testing doors. I press harder against Dmitri's shoulder. The cardigan is soaked through already, warm and slick under my palms. "Your men," I whisper. "How long?" 5 minutes. He shifts his grip on the gun. "Maybe 4. A voice shouts upstairs. "Russian." Telling someone to check the basement. The door handle rattles. Once. Twice. Then something slams into the wood. The whole frame shudders. "They're gonna break through," I say. "Let them try." Dmitri raises the gun, aims at the top of the stairs. His hand is steady despite the blood loss. "Stay behind me." Another impact. The wood splinters near the lock. I look around. Concrete walls, no windows, one exit. My eyes catch on the fuse box mounted near the stairs. Old. Metal cover held shut with a rusted latch. "Kill the lights," I say. Dmitri glances at me. Then at the fuse box. A grim smile touches his mouth. "Do it," he says. I crawl to the box, flip the latch, yank open the cover. The main breaker is a thick black switch at the top. I pull it down. The bulb dies. Darkness slams into us like a physical weight. I scramble back to Dmitri, press myself against his good side. His breath is warm against my temple. Upstairs, the wood cracks. Footsteps descend, slow, cautious. A beam of light cuts through the dark. Flashlight, sweeping left to right. Dmitri fires. The muzzle flash paints the basement in stuttering orange light. I see the shooter on the stairs, frozen mid-step, then darkness again. A body falls. Tumbles down the remaining stairs and lands in a heap at the bottom. Silence. Then tires screech outside. Car doors slam. Voices shouting in rapid Russian. Dmitri lowers the gun, lets out a breath. "That's mine," he says. Footsteps hammer across the floor above. Fast. Organized. "Boss!" someone shouts. "Clear upstairs!" "Basement!" Dmitri calls back. His voice is weaker now. Thin. The door rattles. "Locked from inside!" "Keys in my coat," Dmitri says. "Upstairs bedroom." More footsteps. A pause. Then the lock clicks. The door opens. Flashlight beams flood the stairs. 3 men descend. One immediately moves to Dmitri, pressing a field dressing against his shoulder. The other 2 sweep the basement, checking corners, securing the body. "Medic's outside," the first man says. He's older, gray at the temples, speaks with the same careful authority Dmitri uses. "Can you walk?" "Yes." Dmitri stands, wavers. I catch his good arm again and he doesn't pull away. We climb the stairs together. His weight leans into me more with each step. The kitchen is full of men now. Efficient. Silent. 2 are already wrapping the bodies in plastic sheeting. Another is on his phone coordinating something in clipped sentences. Outside, a white van idles at the curb. Back doors open. The medic is a woman in her 50s, with steady hands and no expression. She guides Dmitri into the van, cuts away his shirt, starts an IV line while I stand on the sidewalk holding my blood-soaked cardigan and shaking. Someone drapes a coat over my shoulders. I don't see who. Dmitri looks at me from inside the van. His face is pale, eyes still sharp. "The pages," he says. "I have them." I don't. They're still on the basement floor. One of his men appears beside me, hands me the neatly stacked translations without a word. I clutch them against my chest. "Hospital," the medic says. "Now." Dmitri nods, but his eyes stay on mine. "Come with me," he says. Not an order, a question. I climb into the van. The hospital room smells like disinfectant and old coffee. White walls. Fluorescent hum. Dmitri sits propped against pillows, his shoulder wrapped in clean gauze, an IV drip feeding clear fluid into his arm. The medic left 20 minutes ago after checking his vitals and nodding once at me like I'd done something right by staying. I'm in the chair by the window, still wearing someone's coat. My hands are clean now. One of Dmitri's men brought me to a bathroom down the hall and waited outside while I scrubbed dried blood from under my fingernails. The translations are on the table between us. Neatly stacked, coffee stained at the edges but intact. Dmitri watches me. Has been watching me since they wheeled him out of surgery. Not the way men usually watch. No calculation. Just presence. Like he's memorizing something he knows won't last. "You didn't have to come," he says finally. "You asked." "I did." His voice is rough. Tired. The anesthesia still pulling at the edges. But his eyes are clear. "How long do I have?" I ask. He doesn't pretend not to understand. "My men will take you anywhere you want. Tonight? Tomorrow. Whenever you say." "And the translations?" "Finished. You did what I needed." I look at the pages. All those names. All those dead voices confessing to betrayals that will ripple outward for years. Wars fought in basements and back alleys. Blood that calls for more blood. So I'm free to go. Yes. I should feel relief. I don't. What about my brother? Dmitri reaches for the table. Winces. His shoulder pulls against the stitches, but he doesn't stop. He picks up a manila envelope I hadn't noticed before and holds it out to me. I take it. The paper is thick. Expensive. I open the flap. A photograph. Alexei. Thinner than I remember. Standing outside a café with peeling blue paint and a sign in Czech. The date stamp in the corner is 3 weeks old. 3 weeks. My hands shake. Prague, Dmitri says. Vinohrady district. He's using the name Sokolov. Works at a bookstore 2 blocks from that café. I can't breathe. Can't look away from the photograph. Alexei is alive. Alive. The word loops through my head until it loses meaning. There's a plane ticket, Dmitri continues. Open return, and an address where you can find him. He doesn't know anyone's looking. Doesn't know I know. Why? My voice cracks. Why help me? Dmitri leans back against the pillows. His face is pale, shadows under his eyes. The kind of tired that doesn't come from one night. Because you didn't run, he says, in the basement when the shooting started. You could have, should have, but you stayed. You were bleeding. Most people would have run anyway. I set the photograph down carefully. My vision blurs. I blink hard. You said your sister died because of a translator. She did. What happened? Dmitri is quiet for a long moment. The fluorescent light hums above us. Someone laughs in the hallway outside. A nurse. The sound is strange and bright, against the weight in this room. Her name was Katya, he says finally. 16, Smart. Wanted to study literature. I hired a man to translate a set of documents. He changed 3 words. Just 3. Made it look like my uncle had ordered a hit on a rival's son when he'd actually been trying to broker peace. He stops. Breathes. The rival retaliated. Killed everyone at my uncle's summer house. Katya was there for the weekend. My chest tightens. The translator? Dead. But it didn't bring her back. I look at the envelope, at Alexei's face, at the ticket that will take me away from this city and this man, and the translation still stacked between us. I could have lied, I say, about what the recording said. You wouldn't have known. I would have. How? Because I watched your face while you listened. Saw you cry when the old man talked about his daughter. Saw you flinch when he named the men he'd betrayed. You can't fake that. He's right. I couldn't. So you trust me. I trust that you're exactly who you appear to be. In my world, that's rare. I stand. Move to the bed. Sit on the edge carefully so I don't jostle his shoulder. Up close I can see the gray threaded through his dark hair. The scar along his jaw. The way his eyes track my movement with the same careful attention he gave the recordings. I could stay, I say. Finish the rest of the documents, however many you have. You could. But you think I should go. I think you should find your brother. Make sure he's safe. That's what you came to New York for. I came for coffee. His mouth twitches, almost a smile. Lucky coincidence. Is it? No. The honesty lands between us. Solid. Real. You knew, I say, that I'd be at that café. I knew someone matching your description had been asking questions in Brighton Beach about a missing man. Russian. Late 20s. I had someone watch the places you visited. The café was one. So the man at the corner table was supposed to approach you eventually. You ordering in Russian moved up the timeline. I should be angry, should feel manipulated, used. But all I feel is tired. Why not just find me directly? Because I needed to see if you'd come willingly. If you'd translate without a gun to your head. Fear makes people lie. I needed the truth. And now? Now you have what you came for. Your brother's alive. You can go to him. I look at the envelope again. At the ticket. At the address, written in clean block letters. What if I come back? Dmitri goes still. His eyes search mine. Why would you? Because you cook pelmeni at 2 in the morning and don't ask questions. Because you took a bullet and didn't let go of me. Because you're the first person in 2 years who didn't pretend my brother was already dead. His hand moves. Slow. Tentative. Rests on top of mine. His knuckles are scarred. I noticed before. Old wounds. Healed crooked. I turn my hand over. Lace my fingers through his. If you come back, he says quietly, it won't be safe. There are people who know you translated those recordings. They'll assume you know more than you do. Assume you're valuable. Or a liability. I know. Your brother will understand, eventually. You don't owe me anything, Anya. Hearing my name in his voice does something to my chest. Cracks it open. I know that too. He squeezes my hand. Gentle. Like he's afraid I'll disappear if he holds too tight. Find him first, Dmitri says. Make sure he's okay, then decide. And if I decide to come back? I'll be here. Promise? Yes. I lean forward. Press my lips to his scarred knuckles. He smells like antiseptic and gunpowder. And something warm I can't name. His breath catches. I'll come back, I say against his skin. I'll wait. I pull back. Stand. Pick up the envelope and tuck it inside the coat someone gave me hours ago. My legs feel steadier now. Solid. At the door, I pause. Look back. Dmitri is watching me. Eyes dark. Expression unreadable except for the way his hand rests on the blanket where mine just was. 3 months, I say. 3 months. He agrees. I walk out into the fluorescent hallway, past nurses and gurneys, and the smell of old coffee, out into the pre-dawn cold where one of Dmitri's men waits by a black car with the engine running. He opens the door without a word. I climb in, hold the envelope against my chest, and let myself believe that some stories don't end in basements, that some men keep their promises, that I'll see Alexei's face in 3 weeks and Dmitri's in 3 months, and somehow, impossibly, both will still be alive. The car pulls away from the curb. Brooklyn blurs past the window. Gray sky, wet streets. Somewhere a brother I thought I'd lost is shelving books and drinking bad coffee, and waiting for a sister who's finally coming home. And somewhere behind me, a man with scarred knuckles and careful eyes is healing in a hospital bed, keeping a promise he didn't have to make. I close my eyes, breathe. For the first time in 2 years, the weight in my chest feels less like grief and more like hope. If Anya and Dmitri's story moved you, if you believed in a promise kept across dangerous miles, please like and subscribe for more stories like this.